Seeks recognition. What purpose does Mr. Fitzgerald seek recognition?
Strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, and I appreciate my friend Mr. Ben's yielding. We heard from the other side, when a judge says there's probable cause here and issues a warrant, you know that it's there. Well, I've been a judge, I've been a Chief Justice, and I know that's not the case. That's why we have appellate courts, and that's also particularly true when it comes to the persecution of candidate Donald Trump and President Donald Trump. We went for years before we found out the true basis of the 6 warrants. It was based on garbage, lies. There was no probable cause there, and we found out we had FBI agents lying, even though one's been found not guilty. The jury said, well, they didn't, since everybody lies to the FBI, it shouldn't be a crime. Well, that's here in D.C., and that's a Democrat. A Republican, of course, would be convicted of that. But that's why our job is so important, because judges are not perfect. And let me just read you, after the deputy director of the FBI that all of a sudden my Democrat fans are such huge fans of. Oh, and by the way, this information about the FBI hiring a Putin lackey, Danchenko, that didn't come out in the Mueller report. So they either hid it or were incompetent in finding it. It didn't come out in the IG investigation. So he was either incompetent or just actually hid it. And it takes a special counsel 2 years after President Trump's out of office to finally reveal what happened 6 years ago in the Department of Justice dishonesty. And so let me just read from this letter dated September 11th, after the deputy director said, oh, no, there were no violations of security that compromised security. It says, by issuing an absolute denial of your misconduct, talking in the letters to Deputy Director Paul Abadi, you also implicitly claimed that the 2 individuals who reported the misconduct made false statements. That assertion is false. Thinking back, you are certainly aware that many of your subordinates saw you wearing the phone in the skiff. Now your subordinates are coming forward and their reports are far more damning to you and Mr. Ray. You, Mr. Ray, and the employees on the 7th floor violated national security because you were all too lazy to secure your devices. You failed to set the example, and now you've become the example of what's wrong with the FBI. I was talking to an FBI, actually multiple FBI agents, but a former FBI agent said, you remember back in the 80s and 90s, if we needed somebody to report, we had an indictment, we would call their lawyer and say, you need to report at 9 or 10 or 1. Tomorrow we have an indictment, and they would show up to jail because they knew if they didn't, they'd come pick them up at home. What that's turned into now is it's actually the tactics the Gestapo used. Middle of the night, wee hours of the morning, you bust in, you drag them out of bed, and you don't let them even put on clothes. What happened to the FBI? You drag them out in front of CNN or some other liberal media that you leaked the information illegally to before you did the search, and so that they could film it in their underwear. What happened to our Justice Department? That was not the way they were. They had some decency about them, but they become so political. And I know if it ever turned around and it was Democrats, yes, I would be upset about that, like I was about criminal William Jefferson's activity, but the way he was treated and the violation here, and not one person on the Judiciary Committee has complained about a member of Congress's phone that has privileged information on it. not going and being screened by House counsel before it's grabbed by the FBI, you are putting this body in jeopardy by not standing up for civil rights, and I appreciate my colleague. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. For what purpose does Mr.